This is Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkel.
Welcome back to Inside the Wolf's Den with your host, Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkel. Today we have a guest with us, Josh Huite. Hey, Josh, how are you doing?
Better than I deserve.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. So just a quick bio on Josh. Josh has been in the trades industry for 28 years now. During his formative years as a tradesman, he was fortunate to have someone point him in the direction that not only changed his life, but it also changed his business. Those valuable lessons had an impact on his technical skills, but more importantly, allowed the company and his team to advance forward in a saturated market where there was no standard. His drive and purpose now is to share those skills, strategies, and lessons to improve the standard perception and the appreciation of the men and women that build this country. Again, Josh, thanks so much for joining us today. Tell us a little about your background. How did this all get started?
Man, listening to you read that kind of gets my heart pounding a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I try not to read my own stuff too often, but it really brings back the feeling of those pivotal moments. Mm-hmm. Of growth and success and failure. I've been around the trades literally my entire life. I think the first time I swung a hammer, I was probably 3. I started mowing lawns in the neighborhood at 10. I was packing shingles at 12. And I don't know anything else. I know how to fix stuff. I'm a fixer, builder and fixer. And throughout my entire life thus far as a tradesman, and proud to be a tradesman, by the way, that is a big thing for me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's one of my missions too.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned that there was something missing in all the companies that I had worked for, and it was leadership. And this old business model of skilled trades companies where you find someone that can do a skill, you pay them a dollar amount, and then you just expect them to show up and work and be there for 20 or 30 years. That model doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And a lot of people have not adapted to that yet. So for me, I have this kind of overwhelming passion to bring culture and leadership and teach people how to, elevate themselves and elevate their team to winning through all of the skills that we didn't learn in trade school, through all of the skills that we didn't learn on the job. I mean, on the job training, problem solving is a fist fight in the parking lot. You get tools thrown at your head. That's how I was raised. And that was how I was indoctrinated into. That's how you communicate, is with your fists. So
we laugh because I think we've had a couple of those stories.
I fired. We own a plumbing company, and I fired a guy, and he tried to fight me when I fired him. So, anyways, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's a perfect example of the primitive nature that skilled tradespeople still carry with them, because their identity is tied to the craft itself. Mm-hmm. And they don't make an effort to skill stack. They don't make an effort to develop themselves in other areas that not only surround the skill, but complement the skill. Mm-hmm. And that's what I try to do with people.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so just back, just so I grew up in the trades just like you did. So my grandfather was, he could do everything, but main thing was he was a carpet layer and carpenter. And then my dad he went to school and ended up becoming a teacher and a shop teacher, and then started his own company. But so I grew up in the custom cabinetry business, and so I've sanded more cabinets than I will ever care to do in my lifetime. But I grew up around all those guys, and on the job sites, and then we became builders ourselves and all that. So I now own a plumbing company. So we're around it, and I see it so much in our guys, especially our plumbers. Exactly what you're saying. They become very skilled, and sometimes someone will just through years of experience, or they'll make the effort to go to school for additional type of technical skill or something like that. But they don't. You're 100% right. They miss I guess it's the soft skills, right? Mm-hmm. they totally overlook, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree 100%. And it's something in our plumbing company, we're really focused on some of those soft skills, the sales, all this, because like it increases their income dramatically, if they, because they're commission based. So they, if we can teach them those soft skills to sell, to relate to people, to, all that you're talking about. And, it makes such a big difference.
Yeah.
So sorry to.
Let's kind of go into, I want to hear from you, Josh, like what are maybe some of the challenges that, maybe you faced when that's when you knew this is what you wanted to do, right? To help people. But in the tradesmen now, like what are some of the challenges you see and what are some things that you're doing to help them through that?
My goodness. This may end up being like a 3-part episode. So with challenges, the biggest challenge that I face with business owners in the skilled trades is that they're very prideful and they want to do it on their own. Mm-hmm. That is the number one challenge that I am faced with. I'm fortunate enough, by the time they get to me, they've been pretty humbled. Mm-hmm. And now they recognize that, okay, either I can't do this on my own or I don't want to do this on my own. I need to start bringing people in that are experts in these other fields that can help me grow and elevate. That's the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
That is the top challenge. The other is a battle of self-worth. A lot of the tradesmen don't understand their own value and their own worth, and therefore they have a hard time sharing that with either their team, charging the right prices, delegating responsibilities, because they feel that it's necessary for them to take the brunt of everything. Again, because their self-worth isn't above the tasks that they're doing.
Yeah.
Do you find that's because of the way they were raised or a lot of their former life experience? I guess because a lot of times people end up in trades not by choice. It's because they made some bad decisions along the way.
Most people end up there.
Correct.
Right? They don't start out there; they end up there. 100%. I think it has to do with the way that we were raised. I mean, one of my favorite sayings is, if you get hurt, it's like, just rub some dirt on it. I've been told that. It's just like rub some dirt on it, get up, stop crying, get things done. So and what's funny about, all of this whole leadership and self-worth development, one of my favorite nicknames I've been branded with is the industrial therapist, because these big knuckle dragging, tradesmen and tradeswomen, they'll come in and they're tough as nails. And 30 minutes into a conversation, they're telling me their deepest, darkest stories. And they're like, I'm sorry, I'm turning this into a shrink visit. And I'm like, no, I'm here to develop you. And if I don't know these things, then, as a coach, I realize I have to meet people where they are.
Yes.
I can't stand up here and expect them to be like, oh, come on up here. You got this figured out. And that's some of the challenge too, is getting people to a state of vulnerability where they're willing to have difficult conversations.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty interesting having these, probably some very burly men, being vulnerable with you. Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, cause you and I always said like, man, these, in our plumbing company, like these guys can make some really, really good money. Right. And so like, how do you, what advice would you give somebody coming into, maybe wants to get into the trade industry, but doesn't really have any experience, nothing? Like, what advice would you give them?
Yeah. Tradespeople are very guarded. And as a leader, and I hope I'm understanding the question right, but as a leader, it's your responsibility to build trust with your team. Mm-hmm. They're not going to trust the opportunities that you present them if they don't trust you first. And it's really easy to have conversation. I have an entire training built around turning repairmen into technicians and equipping them with the skills and teaching them how to engage and involve the client in the whole, interaction that they have, seeking approval, collecting with confidence, all of those things. But those don't matter if they don't trust you as a leader.
Right.
And they don't trust you as a leader if you can't meet them where they are and start to understand and identify what is it that's important to them.
Yeah, I love that.
So I hope that answers.
Yeah, I know it does. And I think, the coaching, the mentoring, everything that you're doing to help provide that, which Shawn and I, when we got started in our business, right, we hired a coach and mentor because we were 19 years old buying houses and we had no idea what we were doing, right? And so having that coach and mentor like yourself to be able to walk us through, all right, what we don't know, right, is huge.
Can you share some of your strategies when you're coaching some of your clients? Like what, how do you break that?
The macho-ness?
How do you get through to this? Because I think you said like the biggest challenge is that they, you got some big egos. They think they know it all. And so how do you, and I'm sure some of these guys have been running businesses for, several, many years, or they've been in the line of work. Right. So how do you,
they know.
Yeah. How are you, I guess, how are you getting them to change or see or be aware of the, and you led to it a little bit. You sometimes by the time they get to you, they've either gone through a financial challenge or something. That's why they're there. But, maybe to speak to how do you, maybe some steps that you start off with to really teach them, mentor them, take them to the next level.
Similar to the leadership is, my responsibility as a coach is to get them to trust me. And one of my approaches in the conversation, if I were working with you, I would say, Shawn, here's how I want you to look at this relationship. I don't want you to consider this a coach-player relationship where I'm helping you make calls from the sidelines. I said, I want you to consider this as I'm actually part of your team. And I'm going to fight for you. And I'm going to fight for your success. And I'm going to help you build these things. So I don't want you to think of me and look up as me as a coach. Like I'm in the seat next to you. And we're going to figure out how to do this together. And that's my approach. And it by connecting with their humility allows for that vulnerability to surface. And we can start identifying some of the things that we can change. But another tactic that I use to kind of complement that is, what's the one thing we can do now that's going to take the least amount of investment that's going to give us the quickest result? Meaning, what's the low-hanging fruit?
Right.
Because I know the secret to them for them to continue buy-in and move is momentum. So we can pick that low-hanging fruit, and all of a sudden they immediately start seeing results. Well, now we're getting momentum. Well, now the excitement builds in and the trust continues to grow. And we just can really compound that into making strategic decisions in the business, making tactical plans to achieve it, learning how to have hard conversations, learning how to hire. I had a conversation last night. Yesterday, I got a kind of a 911 text message. The guy had to fire someone in his company, and he'd never fired anyone before. And so I jump on the phone. We have a conversation. We strategize. I navigate him, help him how to navigate the conversation. I get a text message 30 minutes later. It's done. At 7:15 last night, which is 9:15 his time, I get a text message. Hey, you busy? I got a long drive home. So I pick up my phone and call, and I was like, hey, brother, what's up? And we got to talk about the reality of how difficult that was. He got to be vulnerable in this state of, I've never had to do this. I've directly impacted the livelihood of someone that I care about and is also my friend. So that adds another dynamic. But had I not built that trust and relationship with them on the front end and getting them to understand, like, I'm in this with you, I don't think I would have ever had that phone call last night.
Yeah. Oh, I love how you say connect with their vulnerability, because that right there, that kind of, gets me, because there's not a lot of coach and mentors that are able to do that, right, on that type of level. So
I loved but I got it, and I think a lot of coaches miss that when as you were explaining, taking advantage of some of the low hanging fruit. Man, I could just totally see that, or in the coaching world or mentorship world. I think some of the really long-term big paydays are going to be in the stuff that are going to take a long time and are going to take time to develop, especially like in a business. It might take a year or two for you to fully see the fruits of something that you're going to instill. But if you can go after some of the small little tweaks and changes, then you get buy-in and trust and then you can work on the bigger things that are really going to change their business. But I don't think too many coaches. So yeah, I think that's awesome that you're doing that. Can you share some other success stories or some other?
That would have been one I was going to ask, but hey, if you want to share a few more, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, just like maybe some impacts and like maybe not names or stuff, but just how somebody came to you and then you just so people, listeners can understand what impact you make.
Yeah. I love the question. And I love that you understand my approach, because I try to take a human first approach to the stuff that I do, whether that's with the leader or the team. But I'm going to give you two stories. I get a call from this guy. He has he's a mobile diesel mechanic. So he works on heavy trucks, works on the road. And he had been listening to my podcast, but he finally called me. He said, I've been listening to you for 2 years now. And I realized that I want to have a conversation about bringing you on. And the reason I'm sharing this story is because I think he fits a really perfect mold of a lot of small business owners. He said, I wanted to take the business as far as I could by myself. I wanted to make sure that I had exhausted myself in growing and developing this company. Then I wanted to bring a coach on. And I respected that approach, right? I'm not there to take his pride away. So immediately he's a single owner operator, and we just kind of start looking at the operations of his business. I'm a big operations guy. Leadership is my passion. Operations is my gift. So I love looking at the operations of a business. And immediately, one of the first things we did is we raised his prices. The second thing we did is we outlined who we were going to start saying no to, all right, work that we didn't need to be doing. That was actually costing money. We trained on how to have those conversations, how to set those expectations with your client. And the third thing we did with his financials is we tackled his debt. He had racked up several credit cards in the tens of thousands of dollars. When he came to me, this guy was working 6 to 7 days a week, 16 to 18 hours a day. He had excessive debt, no money. He was driving 3 different pieces of crap that he would always keep one running at the time, because that's what mechanics do for some reason. And he had this old ragged out service truck. I mean, he was in a position where a lot of companies are. We worked together. Within 6 months, we started tackling his debt, and we had a strategic plan where he was going to eliminate 100% of his debt, which was over $100,000, in 12 months. And we were doing that because of raising his prices and saying no. We were going to add $100,000 to his bottom line by doing those two things.
Wow.
So he was able to compound that into taking control of his debt. And then he said, I started tucking my shirt in. And he goes, that's something I never would have thought I would have done. But what happens, and this is one of my favorite things about coaching people when I see, is when you watch the relationship that they have with their business change. And now they start taking ownership. Now they do have a sense of pride of what they do. And he was like, I never thought I'd tuck my shirt in. He was walking 2 miles a night. And by the way, I talked to him the other day. He's doing 2 workouts a day now. He's got a newer service truck that's almost already paid off. He's had it for 3 months. He got it, and he literally had all but like $5,000 of his debt paid off.
Awesome.
As a single owner operator, he was doing over 300,000 in revenue, and he was able to compound all of these other things. But the most excited thing that he couldn't wait to tell me, he said, I got rid of my 3 junk cars and I bought my dream truck.
Nice.
He said, I bought a 2016 Dodge Dually. And he said, and I will never sell that thing. So being able to watch him in this transformation of working literally 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, to 5 days a week, and sometimes a Saturday if he has an emergency call, where he's making more money. He has almost all of his debt under control. And now he loves his business. He loves his business again. And that's one of the greatest transformations that I get to see with people. And the second one I'll tell you is I get this call because when I started coaching, I didn't have hourly coaching available. It was only monthly packages, and it was very singular. And I figured I needed to connect with my audience on a different level. So I started offering hourly coaching. I get an email. This guy's in Northern Kentucky. To this day, he's a great friend of mine. He made $25,000 in revenue the previous year, total top line revenue as a business. He was working part-time for an electrician, and he was getting ready to close it. He was 2 weeks from closing the business because him and his family were starving. We have a 1 hour conversation. He had saved up weeks to be able to afford an hour of coaching. We have an hour of coaching. We found $2,000 in revenue immediately just through a conversation. So he goes out a week, he generates $2,000. He saves up money. We have another conversation. We find $6,000. He goes out because he's going at a Field of Dreams myth. He's one of those guys that if I build it, they will come. So we're like pounding the pavement. We're knocking on doors. I'm teaching him how to have conversations with contractors. Finally, he says, okay, well, this works. And he signs up for the weekly or the monthly coaching package where we coach every week. And in a year and a half, we took him from $25,000 to $250,000 in revenue. He averages about a 40% gross profit. 2023, he almost hit $400,000 revenue. He got $380 because he took a couple weeks vacation. And now they're in the process of him and his wife and his little girl are looking at buying a house. And same thing. He fell in love with his business again. He took complete ownership of it. And when he sent me that, I can't remember if it was after our first session or a second session, he sends me an email and he says, hey man, he says, I appreciate the conversation we had tonight. It's the first night in 2 years that I didn't hang my head at the dinner table.
That's amazing.
For me to take the human first approach, it's like, let's grow and develop you. Let's build you. Let's make you proud of what you're doing. Let's give you the skills that you need, the training that you need, and the support that you need. And your business will grow. Those stories kind of get me, they hit me a little bit. So
I love the approach that you're taking to this and really changing the lives of all these tradesmen. Right. So kudos to you for doing that. And the passion, you can just tell the passion that you have for it. So why don't you talk a little bit about the Tradesman Experience, your program, like what you have, if somebody's interested, how can they get involved with the Tradesman Experience?
And what all do you do?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. Right now I've got, 1, 2, 3. So there's 4 options that we offer right now for coaching. And I'll just kind of go through least expensive to high price ticket. I have an online platform. It's a membership subscription, and it's a what to think program. Okay, and I think a lot of coaches really focus on what to think. One of my clients told me this: I teach people how to think. So I've got an online subscription. People can sign up. It's a monthly subscription. You have unlimited access and unlimited users. There's like 40 plus videos in there that are all less than 15 minutes long. They're all topic specific. It teaches you how to hire, how to fire, how to create systems, how to get buy-in, business 101. There's all of these kind of nuts and bolts that people need to have. And it's a really good fit for people that are unsure about coaching, but want access to the information so they can apply it, which is why it's called the toolbox. It's literally a box of tools and skills that you need to have a successful company. The second is one-to-one coaching. I do one-to-one coaching. with clients. It's an hourly. I nixed everything but the hourly. I built an hourly program to create not just accountability, but flexibility for the client. And most of my clients, on the stories that I'm telling you about, most of my clients, we meet on a 3-week rotation, about 90 minutes to 2 hours. And this is the transformation that they're making in their business by having these consistent meetings. I'm building a group coaching platform that has video library in it, plus weekly accountability calls and Q&A. We're actually in the process of building that right now. And the fourth is on-site. I will do an on-site, a 3-day on-site with you where it is immersion. Like I am in your company. We're dissecting operations. We're doing leadership training. We're doing team building. You own me for 3 days. I don't talk to anybody else in those 3 days or nights. It's like getting, drink from 2 garden hoses, fire hoses. Like, it is full immersion. So those are the different levels in which I work with people.
That's cool. So talk about, I want to kind of hear when you're actually going into, let me hear some stories of going into some of the companies and maybe working with the teams, and what do you discover and all that? I'm sure you like turn that thing upside down and there.
It's definitely about turning it upside down. Right. Yeah. But I remember I was at this shop and I'm observing. Like I definitely interact. I'll do ride-alongs, whatever it is. But ultimately, I want to observe so we can build a strategic way to grow and develop. And so right. I'm in this shop, and I'm just kind of watching operations, and the 2 owners are there. It's a really small business, and they're in this shared industrial park. And at this time they've got a really small business. They're fairly new. This box truck starts backing up down the driveway. Now there's like 5 other businesses. One owner goes, he said, "Hey, what material do we have coming today?" And the other one says, "I don't know." I said, "I didn't order anything." And he yells at the shop guy. He said, "Hey, did you order anything?" He's like, "Man, I don't know if I ordered anything." And this box truck's backing up the whole time. One of them scurries into the office. He's like, "Man, I can't find pay." He's like, "I don't know what we've got coming today." And so I'm just standing kind of off in the corner. I'm watching this unfold in front of me. And the box truck just goes by. It wasn't even for them. And it goes to the business at the end of the parking lot. And I said, "Can we have a conversation real quick?" So we go into the office, and I said, "Let me explain to you what I just saw, and let's talk about how we can prevent this from happening again." They had no PO system, no tracking system, no job folders, no job files, nothing. I mean, they just showed up every single day and waited to see what happened. So that's one example.
What material's coming in today?
and they were losing their mind. They were so confused at what was showing up, and it ended up not even being for them.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm sure you see a lot of things, but I'm sure they're grateful to have you there, helping them clean it up. The interesting thing about a coach is I'm detached from your business. Right. So when I look at your business, I'm sitting in a position where I have no emotion involved in what's going on. I'm completely detached. I don't know how you got here. But when you witness something like that and recognize that something as simple as a PO system can solve the 10 things that I just saw unfold. Yeah. These business owners don't think about systems and operations and delegation. Right. Mm-hmm. They just think about, okay, what do I need to do today to keep the business from going under and the building from burning down? Right. And they live in this hamster wheel in this reactive state, and they're never able to separate themselves enough from the business to look at it from an operational standpoint and go, what can we create to make this better?
Yeah,
love it.
I had take a step back or higher level, like just for you. And I know you interact with a lot of business owners. You're heavily involved in the day-to-day, or like the industry is what I'm trying to get at. What are you seeing, or your opinion, where is the trades headed, and like the technology, how's that playing a role in things? Where do you see the future of the trades?
Yeah, I think there's a split coming with the ability to build even some of these structures now with machines. These concrete walls, or even these SIPS panels and these foam block houses. Mm-hmm. It is taking away a lot of the skill of the constructability away from these industries. I think where the split's going to happen is there's going to be a tremendous expansion in the service industries, the service and repair industries. I think that no matter how you build your house, at some point you're going to want new paint, new carpet, new cabinets. Mm-hmm. In that remodel industry. In the HVAC industry, which is where I spent a lot of my career, you can, and when I was still in that, we were seeing it back then, where these boxes are really becoming plug and play. Mm-hmm. You can set it in, you tie it in, you turn it on, and there's a lot of plug and play application. But the service, that thing breaks down in the middle of the night when it's zero. The service application. So I think there's going to be a split. I think the automation side of things and the robotic side of things are going to continue to impact the front end, the building end. Mm-hmm. But I think the service, repair, remodel side of that I think there's going to be a tremendous boom in that coming.
I agree with you. And I see it's amazing to see some of the private equity that's coming into and gobbling up a lot of the service-based companies and brands. And, because it's something that can be affected by AI, and it's something that just, and we love the plumbing because it's like if your sewer line's clogged in the middle, you're going to call a plumber or somebody to come and you can't live with that.
Yep. So, that's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So what about the future of the tradesman experience? Where are you headed, and what's the direction you guys are headed as a company and yourself individually, and what impacts are you looking to make in the future?
Yeah, my focus is scaling. I want to bring on additional coaches that specialize, because I work with so many different industries as an individual. As this company grows, and I have clients that are just winning. The guy I mentioned earlier about taking his business from 25,000 to 250,000. We've already had the conversation that he's going to be one of my coaches. He'll still have his business. He'll still run his company, but he is more than willing to work in a capacity of giving back and teaching. So I want to be able to build coaches as I'm building my clients. Mm-hmm. And the business itself, like I work a lot with service industries because, whether it's welding and fabrication, HVAC, roofing, landscaping, like when there's a personal interaction with a lot of these businesses, and I want to grow and I want to continue to build that brand and serve those people, because at some point, those are the skills that are going to determine whether you're successful or not.
Right.
And if you can't have a conversation with a client and you can't set expectations of the work to be done and how you're going to collect, they don't trust you.
Yeah.
And so I think the training that we're offering and the relationships that we have right now, I'm looking to scale that and work with more clients and helping them set up to become, more successful.
Yeah. I love it. The first thing that comes to mind is the soft skills needed, right, to be an entrepreneur or business owner. So that's super cool. Josh, if you can go back in your early 20s, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh my. Man, when you decide to go on a journey of personal growth and development, along with that comes reflection. Mm-hmm. And I think I can tell you with confidence, the thing that I would tell myself is focus more on growth and less on the need for significance. Mm. When your focus is significance, you're so self-centered.
Yeah.
You're so narrow visioned, and you always find a way to make it about you.
Mm-hmm.
My advice would be stop being an idiot and focus on growing yourself, but also growing yourself with others.
Mm.
That's a good answer.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's. We asked that question to all of our guests, and it's never
had that.
Never gone that direction. So it's cool. Yeah, appreciate that. So, how can people get a hold of you, Josh, and reach out? They want to learn more about you, get involved with one of your programs. What's the best way to find out more about you?
The two best ways is the websites, tradesmanexperience.com, and Instagram at the Tradesman Experience. Instagram is where I spend most of my time.
Cool.
Well, our listeners definitely have a treat with this because it's up our alley. We've got all kinds of tradesmen, entrepreneurs, everyone on the show that listen to this. So I think they've got a treat this coming up next couple of weeks. So
yeah, we really appreciate you being on the show today and taking the time to speak with us. So thank you.
Yes.
Guys, the honor's mine. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity.
Awesome. Well, if you got something from this, please share it. If you know a tradesman out there, a tradeswoman, please share this with them. I think they would love to learn more about Josh. And so we appreciate you listening this week, and we'll see you all next week.
See you, everyone.
See you guys.
You've been listening to Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkel. Tons of entrepreneurial podcasts are out there. Talking. But Joni and Shawn are living it every single day. Their portfolio now includes many franchises and medium-sized businesses. We talk about the trials and motivators of successfully running a business. Join us again soon for another podcast. But until then, reach out on the website at InsideTheWolfsDen.com, on Facebook at Inside the Wolf's Den, on Instagram at Inside the Wolf Den. We'll see you again soon. This is Inside the Wolf's Den. We'll see you next time.